Hi and welcome back to the channel VAG Technic. So this is video number 2 or part 2 of the Golf R32 with the VR6 engine. So if you didn't see in the first video, go and check it. We were stripping the engine down, there was some timing chain noise and we find, surprise surprise, so the timing chain cover was actually damaged, one of the brackets was broken. And yeah, in this video we did finally receive all the parts what we were missing. So the dual mass flywheel is here, engine mount, gearbox mount, the additional seals which were missing, the extra gear for the timing chain is here as well, what will be replaced. First thing first, we will put the new timing chains with the brackets and tensioners onto the engine. We're gonna put the engine in the timing position. I'm really hoping that will go well. The timing himself doesn't look that difficult, but there is a tricky thing with the camshaft adjuster, well, I'll show you in a minute, but other than that it should be straightforward job. Once the timing chain is done, we'll continue with all the timing chain covers and the intake manifold. I'm really hoping by end of this video the engine will be running with no fault codes. So let's get to it. Here we have the new timing chain and everything, put it on. When I said it's straightforward job, well, according to the manual, yes it is. You have this tooth here, which is telling you the position of the crankshaft, that should be between the cap and the engine block. Then, this wheel, this cut was basically on top, which is the main position, which brings this mark onto opposite position, and basically the timing chain have these sort of, there you go, there's one indicator, there's another one, and these three, all of them have to sit on a certain point. So that was like straightforward. However, this camshaft adjuster is a typical camshaft adjuster where inside is a physical pin with a spring and it's holding it in a zero position, let's call it. However, on the intake, this is moving freely. So the only way how it's holding position is with oil or oil pressure, basically how the solenoid will let it in. So when we turn the engine a few times, basically the crank didn't line up 100%. It was like probably a bit more towards the oil sump, but it was done according to the manual. So I'm really hoping there will be no fault codes afterwards. Otherwise we have to retime the whole engine, which I don't really want to do. But only time will tell. So next up, I will degrease the whole engine one more time. Of course, we will remove the zip ties and we will start putting all the timing chain covers on with the oil sump, and then the gearbox will come on, and so on and so on and so on. gearbox is on, it was a bit of a pain. Unfortunately, I did have to remove the holder for the transfer box, so that didn't want to slide in, which was the worst part of putting the gearbox back on. Previously I did drop the gearbox with the transfer box, so it was easier, but unfortunately because of the condition of the exhaust I wasn't able to do it like that. But it is on. Next step, we will replace the gearbox mount and we will hang it back in place. We will continue from the top. Okay, so this is the old gearbox mount. As you can probably tell, it has excessive movement after a few years in the vehicle. And there's our new gearbox mount, genuine part again. So hopefully it will last another 15 years. Okay, so quick comparison: thermostat housing, old one versus new one. So basically that's the reason why we're changing it. However, disappointment, thermostat housing and the thermostat didn't come with it. So I will try to swap it around and see. Well, I think it will be, you know, the gasket will be damaged after removal, so that will end up with a new thermostat, 99.9%. Also, the sensor is not included. Also, this blanket is not included, so we have to swap them around. So that means we have to put new O-rings on there. Also, new O-rings on the pipe which is coming to it. And probably tomorrow we will get a new thermostat. So let's swap it around. So we open up the thermostat and it looks like it was replaced recently. So we will actually just fit it on. The housing is not damaged, no plastic is missing, so happy to fit it. The engine mount is out, and as you can probably tell, it's not good. So I don't think the rubber should be cracked like this, but it doesn't matter anymore because we have a new one, genuine again. So I still have to get a battery for tomorrow. The car's booked for MOT, so we will test drive it as well a bit. And I'm really hoping afterwards we can actually call the owner and he can collect it. So to be continued. Okay, so we did start up the engine. It was a bit rough. Even I cranked it without the coil packs in to build up the oil pressure inside the system. Didn't really help. So there was some very interesting noises. However, the engine is running fine. I also did check it on the diagnostics, and basically the timing looks good to me. There's no fault code, which is cool. If we go to basic settings for correlation of the cam, we have a specified position between 130, 129, 119, which is fine. This is plus minus 8 and is minus 2, so that's cool. The exhaust is 73, should be 66 to 82, which is good as well. And the offset is plus minus 8, we have minus 1. So I think the timing will be cool. We're gonna leave it running for a while, then we've got to put it fully back together, put it on the wheels, and probably gonna go for a short test drive. Okie dokie. So Miroslav put a new battery in the car, and I did check the engine after it was running for a while on the RAM. There's no oil leaks. Actually, there were no oil leaks even before, so I think it will be cool. So last thing was missing is the cover for the engine. We're gonna put that on. I still have to tie the dry shafts, put the wheels on, and we'll go for an MOT and a short test drive to double check everything. But so far, no engine lights, no nothing. Engine is running sweet, so we are really hoping it will stay this way. I went for a drive before the MOT. Actually, the dog's chilling on the sun. She's enjoying the sunshine in the UK, which is not a lot. But anyways, before MOT, for some reason the buttons for the windows stopped working, so I have to have a look at that. Unfortunately, the discs and pads are not good. As soon as I touch the brake pedal, you feel it pulsing. It was like vibrating and juddering. So the owner is saying that he will replace the front discs and pads, which I believe he did, because they look, well, fresh, but they're rusty. But I personally think they've overheated or something happened, because you can't have the brake pedal like that. So I spoke with him, and we agreed to put new brakes all the way around, because the rear ones are not that fresh like the front ones. So there will be new brakes all the way around. We're gonna put genuine premium again, which I'm really happy he went for it, because I don't want to put him some cheaper aftermarket ones and they'll be squeaking, making funny noises and so on and so on and so on. But decent parts all the way around. Other than that, the car should be safe for MOT, so hopefully it will pass, and I'll get back to you when it's road legal and we will go for a test drive. Right, there's a small problem, guys. So I think these doors are completely dead because nothing is working. So I'm not sure if the module inside died, or even the mirrors are not moving or anything. And also these doors are not locking. So now it's locked, but they're not locking at all. Mechanically it is locking and unlocking, but electronically it's not working. The other doors are working. So if we will press lock, it's locked. When we will unlock it, opa, well, it's not unlocking anymore. Is it a good opening? Okay, the battery is dead in the controller. So yeah, unfortunately, more things to do. Right guys, so the Golf R32 is on the ramp again. Reason why? We decided to replace brakes all the way around. So here they are, genuine premium. I did have 2 bolts left and I just couldn't figure out where they're from. So yeah, unfortunately I've done a dodgy job. 2 bolts were left and the exhaust is not tied to the subframe. So yeah, unfortunately, fail. But don't worry, I will edit it out from the video, so you will not notice this kind of problems what we're having. So we always do 100% job perfect. These bolts, you can ignore them. But yeah, I'll lift it up, I'll show you which bolts I forgot. We're gonna put them back on. Brakes. Then short test drive, and then only can collect it. Oh, actually one more thing. The windows is not rolling up. The module stopped working in the doors. So we have a module from eBay, so we have to strip the door card, replace the module, and I'm really hoping it will work, because if it's gonna be rainy outside, which should be for next week, you can't have a window done for the whole time, unfortunately. So let's get to it. Yeah, the owner did told me he replaced the discs, which from inner side looks fine, but the outer side, unfortunately, I think this was the problem why the pedal was actually vibrating. Probably if somebody have a machine, they can, like, you know, take them down and they'll be fine, but we don't have it. I don't know anybody who can do it. So new genuine discs and pads all the way around. We're gonna clean all the surfacing, and we're gonna put new pads and discs, and hopefully it'll be all good. So here we go, front discs and pads. I still have to clean up the sticker, degrease the surface. The owner put Brembos on there, so yeah. If you're wondering what kind of brands are the genuine premium, well, it says Paget. I don't think it's the same Paget like you're gonna get in Euro car parts. We are putting on our own cars these genuine premium brakes, and I just can't complain about them. Unless you're going for a really big brake setup, I don't think it's worth it to put anything on there than these. So I test them personally. I've been on the Passat for a couple of years, no issues. So whoever wants the best quality, we put him these on. So we're gonna move on to the other side, and then we're gonna move on to the back axle. are the door module. It's basically a motor with the mechanism and the module together. So this one is K, this one is J, but it should work. It's from a 3-door. I will test it. If it's all good, gonna put it back together and then we're gonna hit the roads. Cool. Okay, so the 2 bolts which were missing from this bracket for the exhaust, I just couldn't figure out, but we did put them on the MOT, so that was sorted, and yeah, all good. So we're gonna go on the road. I'm really hoping the brakes did improve and there will be no more shaking or juddering, so let's try it. Golf R32, the legend. So if I'm not thinking too much about the exterior of the vehicle, which you've seen, and I'm not thinking about too much of the interior of the vehicle, it's a very lovely car. Even from underneath, it's not the cleanest, but you can still feel that the steering is fine, it's not vibrating, it's not shaking. The new brakes actually done the job, so it's much better. There's no juddering from the brake pedal anymore. I don't want to push the car too much because new brakes should be rammed in basically, so you can't really push them too much, otherwise you might overheat them and they will be twisted again, or they'll start making some funny noises. Generally the car it's good. The exhaust is basically aftermarket, it's decutted, so it's a straight pipe from the downpipes. The middle resonator is basically deleted and the rear tip says Miltec, so I'm guessing it's a cutback Miltec exhaust. I think it's fully stock, so it should be running that incredible 240 brake horsepower, which will not break your neck because it's a naturally aspirated engine, as you probably know. But will still give you a smile on your face. The rev counter is going to 6,500 RPM, all range, very nice noise, very nice sounds from the exhaust, and especially I think this was one of the first cars from Volkswagen Group which has a really good gearbox. These DSGs are so nice to drive, they're really precise, shifting very quick. Of course they might have issues, but most of the issues are because people just don't do the proper servicing on them. So the owner's manual says 40,000 miles for the oil and filter. I know some people come down with 120,000 miles on the clock and the oil was never replaced. So then you might have a problem with the mechatronic and so on and so on and so on. Also what I did notice, because similar gearboxes in my Passat, and I have a third flywheel I believe, the flywheel are a bit of a problem. They're not really shaking or anything, but they're making that funny rattling noise, which is quite annoying. We put a genuine flywheel on this one. I'm really hoping it will last much longer. The flywheels I was using on my Passat were just LUK from Euro Car Parts, so usually they last like 2.5 years, and I've done probably like 30,000 miles on the flywheel and it started rattling. Mechanically it was fine, it's just the noise was annoying, so I'd rather replace it. Back to the Golf R32. If I gotta be honest with you, I do like these Mark V Golfs. They look a bit more newish, but from a perspective, if I have to get one, I'll rather go for a Mark IV. That looks like the proper old school Golf. Of course it's a four-wheel drive, but it's not like a proper four-wheel drive. Have a Haldex. Most likely it's a front-wheel drive car, and when it needs to be a four-wheel drive, it will, you know, become one. So also the Haldex needs servicing. You might have some issues with the Haldex. There's a control unit. We already have few which were flooded with water, so the unit wasn't sealed up properly, and we have to send them for repairs and so on and so on. But other than that, pretty much simple car. The parts are not that expensive, of course. Every single one is individual when it comes to the timing chains and the adjuster units and the solenoids and so on and so on. Some of them will last longer, some of them will last less. Usually, again, it's the poor oil what's killing the chain and why they're stretching. But as you've seen on the video, it's not a bad job, so you don't have to remove the engine. The gearbox gotta come off. The access is not the best, but it is accessible without removing the engine. The timing chain is pretty simple, so you know, pretty good still. Yeah, this particular Golf R32 covered 114,000 miles. It is what it is. Some very nice samples which are clean, low mileage, no rust, taken care of. They're easily going between 10 to 15,000 pounds, depends. I think there were even some limited edition and so on and so on and so on, but I don't know much about them. From my perspective, I prefer these Golf R32s instead of the Golf Rs, because back in the days, if somebody had a Golf R32, people like understand the cars and they want to get it because it was the sport model and so on and so on. And these days, the Golf Rs, it's like anybody will buy them. There's quite loads of them, and especially around Birmingham, there's plenty of them. And unfortunately, everyone around here who got a Golf R is a racer, so they're racing from the traffic lights, and you know. So I personally prefer these R32s with the VR6 engine. Of course, compared with the GTI, GTI is not a four-wheel drive, but in this small Golf you can feel there's a big heavy engine in the front, so the steering is a bit heavier than it used to be. You know, the VR6 sound, very nice. So yeah, I'm going back to the workshop. I think the car is sound to go to the customer, so I will count all the parts what we actually fit. I will do him an invoice, and I think he can collect it. So I'm really hoping I will see the car next time only for an oil change with Miroslav, and there will be no more further issues. Basically, I didn't see anything what should cause an issue, so going back to the workshop. And here we are, guys. I'm editing the video and I also checking all the invoices we've actually done. So big shout out to the owner. He's that kind of a guy, if we as a garage tell him like, look, there's a problem, there's an issue, this is the solution, he basically agreed to everything what we point the finger on. So from that point, big shout out to the owner. And before you're gonna put hate comments, some people was putting some funny comments underneath the first video, like, oh, it's a Golf R32, it's not worth it, it's, you know, it's rusty and this and that. So this particular Golf was basically bought as a project. The owner knows the condition of the vehicle, you've seen the condition of the vehicle, and it will be a long process to actually get the vehicle to a stage when it's good looking from inside and outside. But mainly the mechanical things were sorted at this time. So I think engine wise and gearbox wise the engine is sound. Of course, from the exterior side, replace the wing is not a big issue, it's not expensive, and it needs sorting out some interior stuff like a few plastic bits. So the base job, and we're talking about the timing chain job, we charge the customer 1800 quid. So in that 1800 quid we have two timing chains, timing chain, oil tensioners, timing chain rail, brackets and gears. We also replace the camshaft adjustables, of course, rear crankshaft seal, camshaft adjuster, solenoid gasket, rocker cover gasket, intake manifold gasket, oil filter, and a sun plug washer, and we put 10 hours of labor. So that was the base job for 1800 quid, including VAT. If you will be watching this video and it's 2 or 3 years old, don't be surprised that the prices have changed, because I already told few prices on few videos and people are calling me 2 or 3 years later like, oh, I want to get it done with that price, and it's not possible, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm just saying how much the customer actually paid us. at that particular time. So the prices might change. Anyways, to be continued. Most expensive thing from the whole job, I reckon, was the dual mass flywheel with bolts, which was 600 quid. Then the gearbox mount and the engine mount was additional 170-80 pounds. The brakes were not cheap. We used the genuine premium front disc and pads. You've seen the brand, so basically the discs don't have any brand really, and the pads were budget, I believe, and the back were 80. So the front disc and pads were 470-80 pounds. It desperately needed the battery because the car was standing for a really long time, so the battery was completely knackered. So you put a new battery in there. Camshaft adjuster solenoids, we did tell them it will need replacing. Reason why, if you ain't gonna replace them and there's a still problem with the solenoid, you have to strip down quite loads of bits. So there were 2 additional solenoids, 280 pounds. The driver's side module was from eBay, MOT, thermostat housing and extra labor of 3 hours, which comes to 2,600. So totally the bill for a Golf Mark 5 R32 was almost £4,500 including VAT, which is a lot. But don't forget, this was like really cheap Golf, and like I said in the video, if you're looking for really clean one, you gotta put the money down. The really clean one, like really clean one with low mileage, is easily going for 12,000-15,000 pounds, and that will still not give you any warranty that the car is mechanically in a condition that it will not require a job like this in the near future. If you're wondering and asking yourself or asking me, or you will ask me in the comment, was this all worth it? Well, from the point of view that not loads of Golf R32s are left out there mechanically sound, I think it was worth it. From the point of view, was it worth it like money wise at the moment? No. No car is worth it to repair, let's be honest. And unless you're repairing something really special. Only time will tell if Golf R32 is a really special car. I don't think it will be anytime soon. They are getting there slowly. They are getting the nickname of future classic cars. We done our best. The owner done his best so far to make the car run, and the car left basically, so there were no issues. And I think he didn't contact us in the last 2 months, I believe. It was 2 months since the car left, so seems so I think the car sound. Anyways, that was the Golf R32 videos. We don't do many of them because some of them are just really not worth it to do. We also did turn down a few jobs with the Golf R32s or the Audi TTs with the same engine because it was just really sad car from underneath. The rust was really bad, and we just don't want to get to the point when all the bolts will start snapping and there's no way coming back. So, you know, the bill will go up eventually and not extra work is done. So unfortunately, they are getting into the condition when, if they are really badly rusty, we will rather turn the job down than be messing about. The car will be stuck on the ramp for a million years, and there will be astronomical bill what nobody wants to pay. In the next videos, I have loads of B9s, but I don't want to put them all at once because you will think the B9 S and RS models are really bad. So I will be mixing the videos with other stuff, but get ready, B9 owners. We have quite loads of them recently. So next video will be loads of RSs and S models. So I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care for now.